My name is Ryan. I'm 44 years old, and for most of my life I believed love was something you proved with actions, not words. I believed that if you showed up every single day, if you carried the weight without complaining, eventually people would recognize what you meant to them. That belief cost me 9 years. When I met Megan, she wasn't looking for another romance. At least, that's what she told me over coffee during our third date. She was exhausted. Divorced. Working 2 jobs. Raising a little girl named Ella almost entirely by herself. Her biological father, Sean, drifted in and out of her life like bad weather. Sometimes he'd promise weekends together and never arrive. Sometimes he'd disappear for months without even calling. Ella was only 10 years old then. She hid behind her mother's chair the first time we met. Skinny little thing. Brown hair pulled into a messy ponytail. She looked at me like I was another stranger who would eventually disappear. I understood why. Children learn promises by watching adults break them. I never tried to replace Sean. I never asked Ella to call me Dad. I told myself that title belonged to someone else, whether he deserved it or not. All I wanted was to become someone she could depend on. So I stayed. I stayed when Sean canceled birthdays. I stayed when Megan worked double shifts. I stayed when Ella got the flu and someone had to sit beside her bed all night changing cold towels. Nobody asked me to. I simply did. Years passed so quietly that I barely noticed them disappearing. I taught Ella how to ride a bicycle after Sean promised he would and never showed. I spent 3 weekends running behind that bike until my knees felt like they were on fire. The afternoon she finally balanced without me holding the seat, she screamed with excitement. Look! She wasn't talking to her father. She was talking to me. Moments like that convinced me I was building something real. Maybe not through blood, but through consistency. When she entered high school, life became more expensive. Everything did. Sports. School trips. New clothes every few months because she never stopped growing. Sean rarely contributed anything beyond excuses. Money was tight, but I was an engineer. I worked overtime whenever projects allowed it. I accepted weekend contracts other people refused. I told myself the long hours were temporary. They became my normal life. When Ella turned 16, I bought her first car. Nothing flashy. Just a dependable used sedan that wouldn't leave her stranded on the side of the road. She cried when I handed her the keys. Megan cried too. You didn't have to do this, she whispered. Maybe I didn't. But fathers do things they don't have to do. Even stepfathers. The insurance went into my name because adding a teenage driver would have been impossible for Megan to afford alone. Every month the payments came directly out of my account. I never complained. When Ella left for college, I helped cover tuition whenever scholarships fell short. Not everything. Just enough that she wouldn't drown before adulthood even started. Then came textbooks, dorm expenses, emergency repairs, gas money. The small disasters that seem enormous when you're 19. I added her as an authorized user on one of my credit cards. Only emergencies, I told her. She smiled. I know. Whenever her car made a strange noise, she'd call me first. Whenever a tire went flat. Whenever the battery died. Whenever she locked herself out. Whenever life became complicated. My phone rang. Not Sean's. Mine. I crawled under that car more times than I could count. Changed brakes. Replaced belts. Installed a new alternator one freezing November afternoon while snow collected on my shoulders. Every time she drove away safely, I felt oddly proud. That's what family looked like. Or so I believed. Sean remained exactly who he'd always been. A holiday father. A birthday phone call. A social media comment pretending involvement. Nothing more. Sometimes Megan would vent about him late at night after Ella had gone to sleep. I don't understand how someone can care so little. Neither did I. Which is probably why I tried so hard to fill the empty space he left behind. That was my mistake. Not helping. Not loving. Believing sacrifice automatically earns belonging. It doesn't. Sometimes people simply get used to carrying your kindness the way they carry electricity. They only notice it after someone flips the switch. By the time Ella turned 19, helping her had become second nature. I didn't think about the money anymore. I didn't keep score. I never opened a spreadsheet to calculate how much I had spent over the years because I believed families weren't businesses. Love wasn't supposed to come with invoices. If she needed something, I handled it. That was simply who I had become. Whenever her insurance renewal came around, I paid it. Whenever tuition deadlines approached and another unexpected fee appeared, I covered what Megan couldn't. When her old laptop finally died halfway through the semester, I bought another one before she even asked. She thanked me. She always said thank you. Looking back now, I realize gratitude and appreciation aren't the same thing. One is polite. The other changes the way someone treats you. I confused the two. Sean remained exactly as unreliable as ever. Every few months he'd suddenly remember he had a daughter. He'd call. Promise dinner. Promise weekends. Promise vacations that somehow never happened. Then he'd disappear again. Ella would be disappointed for a day or two before life returned to normal. And normal always meant calling me. Not because I demanded it. Because I answered. One Saturday morning her car refused to start outside her apartment. I had planned to spend the weekend finishing repairs around the house. Instead, I loaded my toolbox into my truck and drove 40 minutes across town. The battery wasn't the problem. Neither was the starter. After 2 hours lying on cold pavement, I found a damaged cable buried beneath the engine. By sunset the car was running again. Ella hugged me before I left. I don't know what I'd do without you. Those words stayed with me all the way home. I believed them. Megan smiled when I told her. I told you, she said. She depends on you more than anyone. Maybe she did. But dependence isn't always respect. Sometimes it's just convenience wearing a friendly face. I didn't understand that then. The argument that changed everything started over something so small I can barely remember it. Dinner. A Tuesday evening. The three of us around the kitchen table. Megan mentioned that Ella had received another parking ticket because she'd forgotten to renew her campus permit. I laughed softly. That's the third one this year. It happens, Ella muttered. It does, I agreed. But you're an adult now. You need to pay attention to things like that. I wasn't angry. I wasn't raising my voice. It was ordinary advice. The kind any parent would give. Ella rolled her eyes. You always act like you have to lecture me. I'm not lecturing. You are. I'm just saying responsibility matters. She pushed her chair back a few inches. You don't get to tell me how to live. The room became quiet. Megan looked down at her plate. I chose my next words carefully. I'm only trying to help. Then Ella looked straight at me. There wasn't anger in her eyes. There wasn't even frustration. There was certainty. The kind that comes from saying something you've believed for years. You'll never be more than my mom's husband. Silence. Real silence. The kind that seems to swallow the entire room. For a second I honestly thought I had misheard her. 9 years. 9 birthdays. 9 Christmas mornings. Countless school events. Hospital visits. College payments. Car repairs. Insurance bills. Late-night phone calls. Emergency credit cards. Every sacrifice flashed through my mind in a single heartbeat. She continued before I could say anything. My dad might not be around much, but he's still my father. There it was. Not shouted. Not whispered. Just calmly delivered like an undeniable fact. I looked toward Megan. Surely she would say something. Correct her. Remind Ella that respect mattered. Instead, Megan sighed. Ryan. She reached for my hand. Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. As if hearing I'd never be family after nearly a decade was somehow a misunderstanding. As if I should simply smile and move on. I slowly pulled my hand away. No yelling. No accusations. No dramatic speech. I finished dinner in silence. That night I lay awake staring into the darkness. For the first time in 9 years, I stopped asking what I could do for my family. I asked a different question. If I was only Megan's husband, why was I carrying responsibilities that belonged to someone they still called family? The next morning, I woke before sunrise. Megan was still asleep beside me, turned away, breathing softly like nothing had changed. For a while I just looked at the ceiling and listened to the house settle around us. The same house I had repaired, paid for, protected. The same walls that had heard Ella call me when she needed saving, and had heard Megan excuse her when she finally told the truth. My hands felt calm. That frightened me more than anger would have. Anger burns fast. Calm cuts clean. I got out of bed, went downstairs, and made coffee. No music. No television. Just the low hum of the refrigerator, and the bitter smell filling the kitchen. Then I opened my laptop. First came the insurance. Ella's sedan was still listed under my policy. My name. My risk. My payment every month. I stared at the screen for a long time, remembering the day I bought that car. Remembering how she hugged me. Remembering how proud I had felt watching her drive away. Then I removed her. No ceremony. No shaking hands. Just a few clicks. The confirmation email arrived less than a minute later. Next, I canceled the emergency credit card. The one she used for gas, groceries, repairs, and things she probably never considered emergencies at all. I had paid every statement without complaint because I believed I was helping her become stable. Now I understood. I had only made dependents comfortable. After that, I called the insurance company directly. The woman on the phone asked if I wanted to add another responsible party. Yes, I said. I gave her Sean's name. Ella's biological father. The man whose title had outweighed my years. When she asked whether he had agreed to take over the policy, I told her the truth. No. But future notices should go to him and to Ella. I am no longer financially responsible. The words sounded strange coming from my mouth. Almost foreign. Almost cruel. But not wrong. Then I contacted the roadside assistance provider. The mechanic shop. The payment portal linked to her campus parking account. Every small thread tying me to her adult life. One by one I cut them. By noon, my phone had 3 missed calls from Megan. I didn't answer. I was at work, sitting in my office, staring at blueprints I couldn't focus on. Steel beams. Load calculations. Stress points. Funny how my entire profession revolved around knowing how much weight something could bear before it failed. I should have seen my own failure coming. Megan called again at 2. Then texted. What did you do? I didn't respond. At 4, Ella called. Once. Twice. Then came her message. Ryan, my card got declined. Did something happen? Something happened. 9 years happened. I drove home slowly that evening. Not because I was afraid, but because I wanted a few more minutes before the shouting began. Megan was waiting in the kitchen. Her face was pale. Her phone lay on the counter beside a pile of printed emails. You canceled everything? She asked. I hung my keys by the door. Not everything. Only what shouldn't have been mine. Her eyes filled with disbelief. Ryan, this is insane. No. My voice was quiet. Insane was being told I will never be more than your husband while I carried your daughter's bills like her father. Megan flinched. She was upset. She was honest. She's young. She's 19. You're punishing her. I looked at the papers on the counter. Insurance notices. Card cancellation. Service updates. All the invisible supports I had kept under Ella's life, suddenly visible because I removed them. No, I said. I'm believing her. Megan shook her head. You don't just stop being family overnight. I almost laughed. But there was nothing funny left in me. Apparently I was never family. That's not fair. Neither was your silence. That landed. For the first time, she looked away. I stepped closer, not threatening, not loud, just tired in a way that had finally hardened into something permanent. When Ella said it, I looked at you. I waited. One sentence, Megan. That's all it would have taken. You could have said, don't speak to him that way. You could have said, he has been there for you. You could have said anything. She whispered. I didn't want to make it worse. You did. The kitchen went still. Then her phone rang. Ella. Megan answered immediately. I could hear Ella's voice through the speaker, sharp with panic. Mom, my insurance says I'm being removed. What am I supposed to do? I have class tomorrow. I can't drive uninsured. Megan looked at me. Ryan is here. Silence. Then Ella said, put him on. I took the phone. Ryan, what is going on? Her voice wasn't apologetic. Not yet. It was annoyed. Entitled. Afraid underneath, maybe, but still wrapped in the belief that I would fix what frightened her. Your insurance is now your responsibility. I said. What? Why? Because I'm your mother's husband. Silence again. This time heavier. Are you serious? Very. You can't just do that. I already did. My dad isn't going to pay for this. Then you should talk to him about that. She scoffed, but the sound cracked in the middle. You know Sean won't help. Yes, I said. I know. Then why would you send it to him? Because he's your father. The word hung there. Father. The sacred title. The shield she had raised against me. Now it was a bill. Ella didn't speak for several seconds. Then she said smaller, Ryan, I need help. I closed my eyes. For 9 years, those words had been enough to move me. Not anymore. No, I said. Megan gasped softly. Ella went silent. I handed the phone back and walked out of the kitchen before either of them could pull another piece from me. Behind me, Megan started crying. Ella started shouting. And I kept walking. For once, I did not turn around. The consequences arrived faster than anyone expected. 2 days after I removed my name from everything connected to Ella's life, the first official bills started showing up. Insurance. Registration updates. Roadside assistance cancellation notices. Maintenance reminders. Every service that had quietly billed me for years now redirected its invoices to the only person Ella insisted was her real father. Sean. I imagined his surprise when he opened that first envelope. For nearly a decade, he had enjoyed all the privileges of being called Dad, without carrying any of the expense that title usually demanded. Now the numbers were in front of him, impossible to ignore. He called me before sunset. I let the phone ring twice before answering. What the hell is this? He demanded without even saying hello. I assume you're talking about the insurance. I'm talking about all of it. So am I. You put my name on these accounts? No. I removed mine. You know I can't afford this. I leaned back in my chair. I know I have been paying it. There was a long silence. Finally, he spoke again. Ryan, you've been covering all this? For years. Another silence. Longer this time. Then his tone hardened. This isn't my problem. I almost smiled. Those 4 words sounded strangely familiar. No, I replied calmly. She's your daughter. It is exactly your problem. He muttered a curse under his breath. I'm not paying those bills. That's your decision. You set me up. No. I stepped aside. Before he could answer, I ended the call. For the first time since meeting Megan, I felt no obligation to solve another man's responsibilities. 3 hours later, Ella called. I watched my phone vibrate across the kitchen counter. Then again. And again. On the 4th attempt, I answered. Did you talk to Sean? I did. What did he say? He said he isn't paying. Her voice broke. He blocked my number. I closed my eyes. That hurt more than I expected. Not because Sean had disappeared. He had always disappeared. It hurt because I knew exactly how she felt in that moment. Abandoned. Only this time I wasn't rushing in to protect her from it. Ryan. Her voice was softer than I had ever heard it. I don't know what to do. For years those words had been enough. They would have sent me driving across town with my toolbox. They would have made me pull out my wallet before she even finished explaining the problem. Now they only reminded me why I had reached this point. I think, I said quietly, you should talk to your mother. She began crying. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just small, exhausted sobs. I thought you'd help. I always did. I know. Did you? Silence. Then she whispered, please. The word hung between us. I looked out the window toward the driveway where my truck sat parked. How many times had I climbed into it because Ella needed something? A flat tire. A broken alternator. A dead battery. A forgotten payment. A locked apartment. Countless times. Every emergency became mine simply because I never refused. Until now. I hope everything works out, I said. Then I ended the call. That evening Megan came home looking defeated. She dropped her purse onto the kitchen table and buried her face in her hands. Sean blocked her. I know. She called him 6 times. I know. He won't answer. I know. Megan looked at me with tears filling her eyes. You could fix this. I shook my head. I could. Then why won't you? Because fixing it would only teach both of you that nothing has changed. She stared at me. I don't understand. No, I answered quietly. You don't. I walked to the refrigerator and poured myself a glass of water. Behind me Megan spoke again. You're tearing this family apart. I turned slowly. No. My family already made its decision. What does that mean? It means your daughter decided I wasn't family. I paused. And you agreed. I never agreed. You never disagreed. The distinction mattered. She knew it. I knew it. Neither of us argued. The silence stretched between us until Megan finally whispered. She didn't mean it. I met her eyes. Then why did she wait 9 years to tell me? Megan had no answer. Because there wasn't one. Sometimes the truth doesn't arrive in the heat of anger. Sometimes anger simply removes the mask. For 9 years I had mistaken usefulness for belonging. Now everyone else was learning the difference too. And unlike me, they were learning it with bills arriving in the mailbox every single day.